Text with Greg Stafford. We meet every weekday morning at 5 a.m. to consider a portion of the biblical record. We're working our way through the New Testament books and letters. We are currently in the letter of James. And at the beginning of each letter or book that we do date text for, I present information about the history of the text. So if you want to go back to the first video that we did on the letter of James, it will provide you with some information on the transmission of the text of the letter of James. So take a look at that if you'd like some more information. Otherwise, once we start a new letter or text, and we provide that kind of background information in the first episode on the new letter or document, then we just get right into it. We start reviewing the text, looking at the material, talking about it in its historical context, and then how we can apply it today. So we're going to be taking a look at James, the first chapter, and we will be reading verses 9 through 12. We'll make a brief application, and then we'll be on our way. Okay, so let me get right to it, and I'm going to read. Sometimes I stop and I will talk about the text. Other times I'll just keep going and make an application at the end. So let's start out with verse 9. Here James states, the poor brother must rejoice with his exaltation. And what does he mean by that? Well, look at what he does in verse 10. He compares it with a rich person. But the one who is rich must rejoice with his humiliation. So why does he say that? He says, because like a flower in a field of vegetation, he, the one who is rich, will disappear. Verse 11, for after rising, the sun, together with its great heat, dries up the field of vegetation. Its flower loses its power, and the beauty of its face is gone. In the same way, the one who is rich in his worldly ways of life will wither away. Verse 12, happy is the man who stands firm when being put to the test. For once it is clear he is trustworthy, then he will receive the crown of life, which God has promised to those who love him. That's a good verse for you, Jack. You might want to remember that with your discussions with persons. I think that's a good one. Once it is clear a person is trustworthy, he will receive the crown of life. So I know some believe that they're saved and then always saved and you can't lose it, which would essentially seem to indicate that they already possess the crown of life, right? How do you get the crown of life unless you are saved permanently in their view? But yet here we can see, just as we would reasonably expect, that it's the one who stands firm and shows you're trustworthy. And if you're not, you make a mistake, you apologize and you make it good. There are a lot of people today, particularly criminals and others, that love to hurt people. They're not trustworthy at all. They lie to themselves. They lie to their children. They lie to their employees. They lie to everybody except the people who are lying with them to keep the lie going, you see. But they'd lie to them too, just not about the same thing that they're all collectively lying about if they had the chance. You cannot trust liars. You cannot trust criminals. That's why the crown of life is given to those who are tested, who show they are trustworthy. People today can't even be trusted with material things. Their whole life is a lie, basically, because they commit crime and steal things from other people without telling them what they're really doing. Also, they can get more money than they're entitled to or should have based on what they're actually doing. Their skill doesn't merit the money, is what I'm saying. But they steal it anyway because they don't have any future. All they have is right in front of them. That's it. So you can never trust a person like that. That's why you can never trust criminals, people who go against standards and laws. We're not talking about minor infractions, breaking the speed law thing. There are things that are easier to transgress in ways that do not cause harm to others than other laws and things that directly damage people and or involve theft of property that is not yours. and that you're spending way too much time in your whole life really pursuing, that ultimately will come to nothing. Because if you commit crime and you have to steal, lie, and cheat people in this world, how are you possibly going to show the kind of faith that would make you trustworthy? That's not acting trustworthy. That's acting selfish. That's putting yourself above other people just so you can have more pleasure at their expense by doing something you know is wrong. Simple. Okay? You get that right. But guess what? It's not going to last very long. Look at the illustration that's given here by James. He says basically the rich man is like a flower. And when the sun comes up and burns it away, it's gone. So yes, you can thieve your way to some resources and wealth and have more pleasure in some ways than you otherwise would. But that's not real pleasure. That's not the life. Okay? That's the death. You're putting yourself in direct opposition to God and the things He made you to do, which do not include lying, do not include stealing, do not include hurting other people for your own selfishness. We were made to do the opposite of those things. So if you find yourself around people who enjoy crime, hurting other people, stealing, lying, all the stuff, that we can do occasionally because we make mistakes, but that they do intentionally all the time. It's their way of life. It's what they get up to do and scheme all the time. Don't be among those people. And it's hard because sometimes you have to work in life and you may be with those types of people. But you still got to do your best, right? And you can't choose all the time the people you're going to be around or the people you get to work with or be in life with. Sometimes we don't have a choice. So keep doing your best. Keep showing the right spirit and doing the things that you know are correct in Jah's sight. Who cares what these other people think? We care in the sense that we all want to get along and be happy, but not when it comes to Jah. If people are going to openly do things that clearly not only defy Him, but destroy themselves and aren't going to lead to a future that lasts, none of this stuff lasts, then we're wasting our time. We're putting our effort and energies into things that aren't going anywhere. But when you put your effort and energies into doing Jah's will and you show you're trustworthy, well, you could get the crown of life. That's a big deal, wouldn't you say? No one in this world's giving you that. If anything, they're giving us the crown of death, helping us to get down there faster. But that's not the case with Jah and Jesus. So they're watching us to see how trustworthy we are. Even though we make mistakes, that's not the point. The point is that if in spite of our limitations, we can show that we want to do what's right and help people serve Jah and follow Jesus, then we're going to get it. We will receive the crown. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to think, do I have life or am I saved? Just keep doing the things that show you're trustworthy to Jah every day. When you make a mistake, apologize, move on. Don't let yourself fall back, become depressed. You have to defeat those thoughts and then focus on the good that you've done. I guarantee you most of us have done more good every day than bad, but we focus on the bad because it bothers us. So, one way of defeating that is to focus on the good you're doing and to keep putting your energies into those things, and then they will gradually eclipse the bad. So I think those are some good thoughts for us here. And let's go back to the first 2 points again, because remember, I kind of question, okay, what does he mean? The poor one must rejoice with his exaltation. The rich one must rejoice with his humiliation. We talked about it basically in the sense that we have to be happy no matter what, whether you're rich or poor. We are going to lose all of our material things in this life because they don't go with us. They're not meant for that purpose. They're temporary things here to help us to get through this life and to praise Jah. That's it. They can be used for other things, and people definitely use them for their own selfish reasons. But ultimately, this is all here for Jah. Or Jah put it here for us to then give Him glory and show that we appreciate everything. So it's not a very complex way of life for us. It's really quite simple. It just gets complicated when it comes to things in the world. Because as you can see here in verse 11, you notice that the world, it makes us think we're never going to die. or we're not going to lose our things, and so we might as well keep trying to accumulate as much as we can in life, right? It makes you think that. It's like a rat race, get as much as you can. The one who with the most toys wins. But as you know, that saying also is completed at times with the one who dies with the most toys wins nothing, right? Because that's not what has value in Jah's sight. Having material things, valuable possessions is good because then we can create a better life now or provide protection and resources to others. There's benefit. I'm not saying that. But if we're pursuing it constantly in a way that makes us think we're never going to lose those things, well, then we've been deceived by the world in the same way that the Egyptian pharaohs were. Look at how deceived they were. I use them as an example only because they're an easy one. We can imagine, and we have seen images, and we know about the pyramids and all the Egyptian culture. So it's easy for me to reference, especially given that their tombs are regularly found and their artifacts and items obviously didn't go with them. And so they spent quite a bit of time pursuing wealth in ways they thought both benefited them now and then they could take with them. That's the deception. Cannot do it. We came into the world naked, we're going to leave it naked in the way that really ultimately matters. And that's not whether we're buried in our clothes. We're going to leave naked because our spirit is going to leave us and go to Jah, the one who gave it. Then it's up to him to clothe us again, like Paul talks about in 1 Corinthians 15, with a new body. So we should continue to use this body in this world to the extent that we can to praise Jah, follow Jesus, and treat others the way we want to be treated. Those are the three things that we are all about. They're the three most important things that I think life is about. Tell me something more important than praising Jah, following the teachings of Jesus, the one whom Jah sent, and treating others the way we feel we should be treated, because that's a fair measure, right? If we're willing to do it to other people, we should be willing to receive it ourselves. But many people, they're more than happy to give bad things to other people, and then when it comes their turn, they start running. They don't want it. They act like they're immune. See, they want to hurt all these people and do bad things, and they don't think it's going to come to them. How could it not, right? It's happened to every single person before. So the idea that you're somehow going to be immune to it now and you're going to get away with it, you're just fooling yourselves. I see sayings sometimes all the time. This one saying caught my attention where people were trying to make the idea that it's trying to get through life by, whoever can get away with the most wins, basically. Instead of like whoever has the most toys, whoever can get away with the most, like you're getting away with anything. That's funny. We can almost track everyone's actions. The spirits see everything. That's why I don't worry about anything really, because I know everything I've already done and said, Jah knows. I've already talked to him about it and done it in ways that I understand and he accepts because I've repented if it's bad things. But others don't have that kind of conversation and relationship with him to where they can recognize their mistakes, accept them, confess to Jah and move on, and then start doing good things. Instead, they get hung up on all sorts of things and they never progress. But, we'll talk about that more in tomorrow's text, because I'm reading the letter of James. A lot of these thoughts get on my mind. But remember today that whether you're poor or rich, you have to rejoice with your situation because you're alive. Jah gave you life no matter whether you have a little or a lot. You have what you need to get things done. And if you do not, then you should ask the Father for what you need. Call to him just like Jesus says. And tell him that you need these things to continue doing what you're doing. And he already knows it, but when you talk to him, it's like when you talk to a father. The father, your human father, usually already knows also what you're going through and what you need. But he still listens. He still wants to hear what you have to say, right? Because even though the human father may see what's going on, when we hear from you, the child in this case, then we can connect with the situation and what you're going through and work on it together versus apart. So that's why families are so important today. And that's why I'm so concerned with things like movies and the effect that they're having on families and our ability to praise God. Because as you notice, maybe if you watch these Hollywood garbage dump reviews I've done, they're filling these movies with symbolism and imagery that's destabilizing in many ways to the individual, but that also, especially if you watch the Making Babies Hollywood garbage dump, they're attacking the family. I mean, they're coming right at it in the most direct ways and religion because they don't have it. Okay? They have destroyed their opportunities for a family, either through various sexual involvements or lifestyles that aren't conducive to normal families. And so they attack it. They believe it is like wrong. When how could it be? It's the only way that we reproduce and preserve the species and maintain society. That's always been the case. Yet we have all these people in Hollywood and elsewhere promoting forms of entertainment that are disgusting and that openly attack the family. So that's why I'm doing these Hollywood garbage dump reviews, so that we can be more prepared with the things that they're embedding in these trailers and movies that we don't expect to see, but it's there. So keep those things in mind. And then when it comes to the world and the things that it has to offer, remember, they do these movies and things purely for their own selfishness, for money, pleasure, and power. Yet what did we learn in this text? And what do we already know? This just reinforces it. You do not get to keep all your wealth. It goes. And then you go. And then what? Well, you better have something with you other than money, because that's not going to be enough. And that's why we read these texts, because they remind us of the things we forget, but that we have to remember, or we could have more difficulty than we would if we just focus on the things and remember. Do not pursue money beyond the things that matter more so. And if you lose money and you come into a difficult way, trust in Jah. He will protect you. You're still alive. Keep going. And then you will restore the things that you lost. So I thank you all for joining me. I love going through these texts, and we'll keep going through James. We'll have a full week of day texts unless something changes. I'll put up the schedule so you'll see what's coming. And then I have another Hollywood garbage dump review. I think I'll get up later today. This one's the worst yet in terms of all the stuff it has in it, but get ready, because some of these trailers, I mean, the things that they're showing, I can't imagine how much is in the actual movies. So probably I'm just going to stay with the trailer reviews, because I don't want to see these movies. I don't want to go see these movies that I'm doing these dump reviews on, because they look terrible. At one point I thought I would, maybe complement the trailer reviews with an actual movie review. And I think I might review a couple movies, like go through them quickly, but because of all that they contain, I'll still do like the whole movie. But for the most part, I think these trailers work fine, because then I don't have to see the movie. And I don't want to if it's got this much stuff in it that has nothing to do with the theme, but that has everything to do with these other views and anti-religious ideas, or worship of other gods like Saturn and Baal. It's all there, and it's disgusting. So I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep pointing it out, and I hope you guys enjoy it. And if you have any ideas or suggestions, please let me know. As I put up in a video the other day, if you want a special video that I'm not doing already, or that I can't do conveniently, just let me know. We can talk about it. But that's a different deal if I'm doing a special video for people who do regularly ask me. But it's still possible, so we can work that out. Otherwise, I've got a lot of videos planned, and I'll keep putting them up. So I appreciate your support. I look forward to joining you guys every weekday, and also for our Saturday show. So we're all set for this Saturday. The divine name in the New Testament. I haven't finalized the title yet, but it'll be basically that. And I'm not going to do any videos, but I am going to show images. I'm going to show images of the texts that I reference, so you can see the divine name right in the text. Or if it's a text with something else, I'm going to show it. I will show a split screen so that you can see the full image and still, most of me. and then we'll see what we can determine based on that evidence. So I'm looking forward to it. Otherwise, I hope you will all join me tomorrow for another day text as we continue to work our way through the letter of James. And as I mentioned, later today, I should have up, today or tomorrow, at least one more Hollywood garbage dump review. So thank you all for joining me. I look forward to seeing you all again tomorrow. And may God bless you. In Jesus' name.